What if the way that you love is shaped by the way you survived? Not just your preferences, not just your personality, but your nervous system that was trained over time to keep the peace, to read the room, to anticipate danger before it arrives. For many, what looks like deep loyalty is actually something more complex, something learned, something adaptive. This is where the worlds of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and codependency begin to overlap. My name is 𝗪𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲, licensed clinical social worker. Complex PTSD is not just about memory. It's about patterns it develops through prolonged, heated, personal trauma, often in an environment where safety was inconsistent and unpredictable or conditional. And in those environments, children don't have the luxury of just being. They adapt. They become hyper-attuned. They track micro-expressions, tones, shifts, emotional temperature. They learn, if I can manage you, I might be safe. Fast forward into adulthood, and that same adaptive strategy often presents as codependency, a relational style where self-worth becomes contingent on being needed to regulate others, needed to maintain connection at any cost. It doesn't feel like dysfunction. It feels like purpose. So research in trauma has shown that chronic relational trauma reshapes the nervous system, particularly through hypervigilance, fawning responses, and attachment dysregulation. The fawn response is a lesser-known survival response alongside with flight, fight, and freeze, which is central here. It involves appeasing, accommodating, and prioritizing others to avoid conflict or abandonment, which is fawning. Over time, this becomes procedural memory, automatic, embodied, and largely unconscious. So when someone with complex PTSD enters relationships, they may overfunction emotionally, taking responsibility for others' feelings, struggle with boundaries, not because they don't value them, but because boundaries once threatened safety. Experience identity diffusion, difficulty distinguishing who I am from who I need to be to you. Develop anxious, preoccupied attachment patterns where closeness feels necessary for regulation. This is where codependency emerges not as a character flaw, but as a trauma-informed relational adaptation. Neurobiologically, the system is attempting to minimize threat. Psychologically, it's attempting to preserve connection. Relationally, it often results in imbalance, burnout, and repeated cycles of overgiving and under-receiving. And the most important part, these patterns are reinforced not because they are healthy, but because they once worked. So awareness is the interruption. When we begin to name these patterns, not as who I am, but as what I learned, we create space for change. Healing from intersection of complex PTSD and codependency is not about becoming less caring. It's about becoming more differentiated. It looks like learning to tolerate discomfort when you don't fix, rescue, or anticipate. Rebuilding a sense of self that exists independently of others' needs. Practicing boundaries as a form of nervous system regulation, not rejection. Engaging in therapies that target both attachment and somatic memories, because the goal isn't to stop loving deeply, it's to love without losing your own self. And that shift from survival-based connection to conscious connection is where real healing begins. I hope you liked my video, and if you did, please hit the like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment or two and share if you like this video and you think you know someone that could benefit from this.